Amidst the rigid lines of Buckingham's royal guards, a single tear slipped under the stoic facade of a seasoned guard, all because a young girl in a wheelchair dared to defy the chaos with a simple, powerful plea. "Leave them alone." The crowd held its breath, but what happened next will shock even those who thought they'd seen everything. But first, let's go back to the beginning. The air outside Buckingham Palace was electric with the hum of anticipation and the vibrant energy of a midsummer afternoon. Tourists converged from all corners of the globe, their faces lit with the dazzled expressions unique to those tasting the grandeur of tradition for the first time. They thronged eagerly behind the ropes, phones aloft, trying to capture the embodiment of regal demeanor that was the Royal Guard. Immovable and imperturbable, these guards were enigmas in themselves, resplendent in their scarlet uniforms and towering bearskin hats, epitomes of stoic vigilance amidst the sea of excited onlookers. Emily sat slightly apart from the crowd, her wheelchair positioned with precision by her parents to afford her the best possible view of the ceremony. Her eyes were a bright, curious blue, alive with wonder, as she absorbed every aspect of the scene. Unlike her boisterous 9-year-old brother, Matt, who was busy caricaturing the guard's stern postures to the amusement of nearby tourists, Emily was silent and reflective. Her small frame seemed to hold a depth of awareness that belied her years. She observed not only the spectacle but also the reaction of those around her, measuring the subtle interplay between tradition and the spontaneous chaos of human nature. The horses, nobly bearing the weight of history, stood as still as their human counterparts, their muscled flanks twitching occasionally under the summer sun. They were not merely part of the show. They were symbols in their own right, ancient guardians of continuity and majesty. Emily felt an unspoken kinship with them, empathizing with their required patience and silent dignity. However, the scene's harmony was soon disrupted by an incongruous element, a ripple in the formality. Jacob, an unabashed American tourist with an eye for antics and a penchant for chaos, began to draw his own circle of fascination. Taller than most, with a voice that carried, Jacob exuded a brand of exuberant irreverence. He sidled up close to the barrier, flouting the signs requesting respect and distance, his laughter loud enough to compel attention. His behavior was a calculated dance of provocation, mocking the unwavering dedication of the guards, his amusement growing with each attempted slight. His actions were a stark contrast to the solemn setting, a bright shrapnel of modern irreverence against a backdrop of revered tradition. Emily looked on, her curiosity tinged with unease. She saw Jacob's antics for what they were, more than just a tourist's thoughtless jest. His actions were a challenge, an unwillingness to respect boundaries, both literal and cultural. In the midst of the jovial crowd, Emily felt the air shift. The guards remained statuesque, unfazed outwardly, but the atmosphere was tense with unspoken disapproval from the gathering crowd. As the sun cast its golden rays upon this tableau of clashing temperaments, Emily sensed the delicate balance at play, the unyielding permanence of British tradition rubbing against the fluid unpredictability of human behavior. It was a woven moment of time, stretching the silent threads of decorum against the loud defiance of disorder, a moment that yearned silently for resolution and perhaps demanded an unexpected hero. The air around Buckingham Palace was thick with the buzz of tourists, each vying for the best view of the iconic royal guards and their majestic steeds. Cameras clicked incessantly, capturing the quintessential symbol of British tradition. Amongst this sea of faces was a family, standing slightly apart, fascinated rather than merely amused by the ornate display. Emily, a young girl confined to her wheelchair, was typically an effervescent spirit, her inquisitive nature often sparking lively conversations. However, today she was unusually quiet, her eyes fixated on the unfolding scene. Her brother, eager to mimic the commanding stance of the guards, nudged her, urging her to join the family for a closer view. But Emily was transfixed, not by the pomp and ceremony, but by the discord flowing through the crowd, the kind of drama that hinted at disruption beneath the surface of the day's routines. In the middle of it all stood Jacob, an audacious tourist whose behavior had begun to draw the wrong kind of attention. Unfettered by the solemnity of the guardsmen in their immaculate red coats and tall bearskin hats, Jacob poked and prodded the boundaries of decorum, delighting in the little spectacle he was creating. He taunted the guards, mockingly imitating their solemnity, each jest carving thinly into the dignity of the exchange. Though the guards remained unflinching, as is their sacred duty, their horses shuffled uneasily, sensing the tension that hummed louder in their vicinity. For Emily, each jeer felt like an itch she could not scratch, an acute discomfort that settled in her chest. Her innate empathy sensed the embarrassment overshadowing the crowd. The helpless mirth in some turned into embarrassed glances in others. She could feel the collective expectation hanging in the air, waiting, wanting for someone to rise above the spectacle and restore the justice that felt intensely required. Her family, focused on adding memories to their digital collection, were oblivious to her growing distress. Jacob, oblivious to the whispered disapproval of those around him, made a bold move towards the ceremonial horse. He reached up as if to mount it, an action that immediately escalated the tension surrounding the spectacle. Gasps fluttered through the crowd like ripples in a disturbed pond. Emily watched with widening eyes as laughter pealed from a few, oblivious to the spirit of the place. Their amusement, as hollow as the action, was brash. The mockery mirrored against the guards' immutable stoicism created a sharp contrast, a visual clash of respect and ridicule. It was then, as if driven by an instinctual compass pointing true north, that Emily found her voice threading through the ambient sounds of disbelief. "Leave them alone!" The command was as crisp as it was unexpected, slicing through the fabric of the onlookers' murmurs. Her voice, normally gentle, carried a resolute authority that resonated through the crowd, drawing eyes to her like moths to a flame. Jacob paused, his bravado momentarily deflated, a crack in his performance as the audience's attention diverged. For one fleeting moment, the chaotic energy suspended, everyone present acutely aware of a young girl's demand for respect amid a breach of peace. The crowd gathered outside Buckingham Palace was a moving tapestry of colors and faces. Tourists buzzing with the anticipation of modern-day explorers encountering the storied pomp of the Royal Guard. Yet, within that vibrant assembly, an unsettling air lingered in pockets, emanating primarily from Jacob's antics. The guards, symbols of unwavering discipline, stood like sentinels of time past, each as immovable as the stone statues adorning the ancient grounds. Their horses snorted, sensing the undercurrent of tension that rippled through the expectant assembly. Silence wavered on the brink of disruption when Emily's voice cut the heavy air like a well-timed jolt of clarity. Her words, simple but profound, evoked reverence from the onlookers, piercing through the superficiality of Jacob's theatrics. For the spectators, what had begun as a casual jaunt into royal pageantry now unfolded into an unexpectedly poignant tableau of courage and civility. The murmurs that followed were like the ocean's gentle crescendo. They swelled around Jacob, crumbling his indifference and shaking the arrogant foundation he had so carelessly constructed. Emily, seated in her wheelchair, yet towering in moral stature, had shifted the energy completely. Her earnest intervention turning the jeers once aimed at the guards into a supportive wave directed at the unruly interloper. James, the guard nearest to this unfolding narrative, maintained his rigid posture, the very embodiment of disciplined detachment. Yet beneath his helmet, another story unfurled, a quiet rebellion against his training. The tear that escaped spoke of gratitude, an acknowledgement of the shared humanity that his role demanded he publicly suppressed. Emily's actions had melted the barriers between protocol and vulnerability, prompting this silent outpouring of emotion that he could neither explain nor restrain. The transformation in the crowd was palpable. This unexpected turn had alchemized their curiosity into solidarity, their passive presence into active engagement. They, who had wandered for spectacle, now found themselves witnesses to an unscripted drama where a girl's call for respect had rewritten the day's narrative. Applause rippled forth, a manifestation of communal approval, swelling to a chorus that rang out beneath the regal facade of the palace, reverberating against the stone walls as if even the building itself acknowledged the moment. In the midst of this, Emily's family served as an anchor, a testament to love and nurtured values, as their pride radiated in generous waves. Their astonishment at Emily's bravery transformed into joy, an affirmation of her spirit's unyielding strength. In the space of a heartbeat, Emily had assumed the mantle of an unsung hero, her actions a gentle yet resolute rebuke to vulgarity and a powerful affirmation of dignity. As James clenched his jaw in a silent pledge of respect, the boundaries between marcher and marcher dissolved, leaving only an unspoken understanding between people, profoundly connected by an unexpected moment of truth and honor. As the crowd buzzed with murmurs and whispers, the tension that had bound them was slowly unraveling. The air around Buckingham Palace, once thick with anticipation and a touch of unease, was now infused with a newfound tranquility. Jacob's retreat, marked by his sheepish demeanor and muttered apologies, was not merely a withdrawal. It was a concession to tradition's quiet strength, nudged collectively by the spontaneous bravery of Emily, a young girl in a wheelchair whose presence had shifted the dynamics of the scene dramatically. The unexpected turn of events had stamped an indelible impression on the tourists gathered that summer afternoon. Emily, her posture upright, seemed both fragile and formidable. Her actions resonated like ripples across a once stagnant pond, awakening a dormant respect within each onlooker. She had become an unwitting hero, embodying virtues that seemed forgotten amidst the relentless bustle of modern life. Conversations amongst parents echoed with a newfound resolve as they knelt to gently remind their children of the importance of reverence for customs and the significance of standing up for what is right. The tear that had betrayed the royal guard, typically steeled against all emotional intrusion, whispered a tale far more profound than any shouted command or ceremonial display. It spoke of an undercurrent of humility and humanity that ran beneath the surface of the rigid formality expected of his position. The tear was more than an emotional lapse. It was a subtle reminder of the guard's own humanity, serving as a bridge between the practiced solemnity of tradition and the ever-open heart of empathy. As the crowd dispersed, carrying with them stories of the brave young girl who had dared to voice compassion amidst indifference, James, the previously austere royal guard, took purposeful strides toward Emily's family. The stiffness of his armor seemed to melt away, not in dereliction of duty, but in recognition of an extraordinary moment. Kneeling beside Emily, he gently tipped his hat. The gesture, simple yet profound, transcended verbal acknowledgement, enveloping Emily with a sense of communal gratitude. Her family, caught in the warmth of the moment, beamed with pride, their hearts swelling with the knowledge that this day, marked by Emily's inconspicuous valor, would ripple through time in tales regaled by storytellers far and wide. As they prepared to leave, Emily turned once more, meeting James's gaze. It was a silent exchange, a mutual nod that spoke volumes of unspoken respect and shared understanding. This moment, enveloped within the walls of tradition, whispered fiercely of the rare alliance found in acts of courage, reiterating the relevance of humility and the pivotal role that hope played in binding old customs with new perceptions. Emily's act of defiance was not an affront to tradition, but a gentle reminder of its living essence, urging every witness to carry forward the delicate balance between steadfast honor and compassionate evolution, a testament woven into the fabric of their lives as they journeyed beyond the palace gates.